This is a short video on primary hemostasis. I apologize losing my voice because I'm a little bit sick, but here we go. So basically what we have, hemostasis is your body's ability to kind of heal itself and stop bleeding when it gets injured. So primary hemostasis. Stasis means stopping or lack of movement, and hemo means blood. So this is the first thing that your body does to stop its blood from moving. Okay, first of all, I'm going to introduce kind of the players in primary hemostasis, just so you kind of get all the words in there. So as I use them throughout the explanation, it'll make sense. So we have something called endothelial cells. Okay, endothelial cells are what line the inside of a blood vessel. So that's the basement membrane of a blood vessel. And here are the endothelial cells. And so the inside of these endothelial cells is something called endothelin. And also something called von Willebrand Factor. Okay? And endothelin is something that when released from the endothelial cell, like by damage, causes little tiny muscles in the endothelial cell to contract, and it kind of prevents blood loss. Okay. Von Willebrand's factor is something that's in there that is a linker molecule for platelets through the GP1B receptor to collagen. Okay, so I know I just said a lot there. I'll explain here as I go on. It'll start making sense. So here's this basement membrane. On this basement membrane, underneath here is some collagen. Okay, so underneath this has collagen in the basement membrane. So that's some collagen. So the collagen is the thing that is going to actually have the von Willebrand factor and the GP1B receptors binding to it. And I'll get more into that in a second. So also you have something called platelets. Okay, platelets wander around in your blood, little molecules like this. And inside the platelets we have ADP and thromboxane A2. Okay, ADP is inside there, and also thromboxane A2. ADP. ADP is something that sends out a message for more platelets to come, and thromboxane A2 is something that basically allows, it's a derivative of cyclooxygenase, so you can inhibit this with like aspirin. But it causes, sorry, I messed up. So it causes the platelets to come to the area, and it's the ADP that causes the expression. I got these backwards. Let me repeat this here. So ADP causes the expression of a receptor called GP23, excuse me, I'm sick here. GP2B3A, okay? It seems really complicated. It'll all come together in a second. And thromboxane A2 causes the platelets to come. I guess I'll just put that causes them to come. So these are all just a lot of words, kind of putting the words in there, and then we're going to use them in the context and it'll make sense. Also earlier we were talking about another receptor. I'll go ahead and put that down on here. That is GP1B. So now there's a GP2B3A receptor and there's a GP1B receptor. The GP1B receptor is the receptor on the platelet that allows it to bind to collagen. So this one binds collagen, I guess, with von Willebrand factor as well. And then the last little player that we're going to introduce here is fibrinogen. And fibrinogen is a linker molecule that binds the GP2B3A receptors and cross-links the platelets. Okay, so there's a lot of little words there, big words, whatever. Seems complicated, but let me explain. It's really actually not that bad. Here's what happens. All right, so we have here a a blood vessel, and the blood vessel becomes injured. When it becomes injured, essentially what occurs here is that one of these endothelial cells kind of gets knocked out of its place. When it gets knocked out of its place, it's going to release some von Willebrand factor. So von Willebrand factor, okay? The von Willebrand factor then binds onto this collagen here, okay? So now we've got some von Willebrand factor on here. Von Willebrand factor, okay? Binds to the collagen. There's collagen, okay? Because that's exposed now. And these little platelets have these little receptors on here, and these receptors are called GP1B receptors. These receptors bind to collagen. So this platelet now comes over here and has this little receptor on it, and it binds to the collagen. So now we're getting some little platelets binding to this collagen, and that kind of helps, you know, cover it up. Well, once it binds here, this platelet is going to release something called ADP. It's also going to release something called thromboxane A2. Okay? The ADP is going to now come over, and it's going to tell this platelet to expose a new kind of receptor called the, I'll label it here, GP2B3A receptor. And that one binds fibrinogen. Okay? So now that that guy binds fibrinogen, here's some fibrinogen there. Other platelets are also going to start expressing the same receptor, the GP2B3A, and so they're going to come and they're going to bind to the fibrinogen. And then more fibrinogen is going to bind, and you're going to get this whole aggregation. Also, that thromboxane A2 that went out caused more platelets to come. So this kind of got really messy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase all this like this, and then I'm just going to kind of redraw everything out. You've kind of seen all the players. I'm going to redraw this so that you can see a little bit easier how it happens. There's the basement membrane. Here's the collagen sticking out. Here are the endothelial cells. Okay? Endothelial cell gets damaged. Goes away. In the place released from this endothelial cell is excuse me, is exposed some collagen, and some von Willebrand factor came out. So now you have these little von Willebrand factors down here. I'll just do it like that. So now this von Willebrand factor is specifically what is going to excuse me, is going to come. Here's a little platelet. It's going to be the thing that binds with this GP1B receptor. The little plate. This is a platelet. This GP1B receptor is going to be what binds over here to the platelets. So now the platelets are formed here. So this is GP1B, and these are platelets. So now they're bound. Now once these guys bind, they're going to release thromboxane A2, and they're also going to release ADP. ADP causes this guy to release or express the GP2B3A B3A receptors. And what do they bind? They bind fibrinogen. So now that they're expressed, so that guy's going to express it, but this guy's also going to express it. Now he's got the GP2B3A receptor. And this, what does this bind? This receptor binds fibrinogen. So here's some fibrinogen. And so then another guy's going to come along and bind to the other side of this, receptors. So platelets are going to bind like this. This is, again, remember the GP2B3A. Just like that. And more platelets are going to bind. See how all these platelets are now aggregating like this? And that creates this big aggregation. Remember, it was the thromboxane A2 that tells more platelets to come. But you can see now how this whole thing, they all aggregate together. This is primary hemostasis, the formation of the platelet plug. And secondary hemostasis, which is the next video I plan to make, is going to be explaining how this platelet plug becomes stronger. And that's secondary hemostasis.